Hey, so it's Darryl with D&D Realty. Welcome to part two of the first time home buyers process or the home buying process, whether it's your first time or second time. One thing I forgot to mention in part one was you don't want to wait till 2 or 3 months before you're ready to buy to get connected with an agent and a lender. And here's why: you want to get started about 6 months prior. You want to make sure that there's nothing on your credit that's a surprise. You may think you have good credit, and you may have good credit, but there may be some issue out there that could potentially keep you from qualifying. So, and have credit repair person that's very good, honest, great reputation that we connect folks with if there's issues and it's that severe that they need it. Also, on VA loans, the veteran, you're going to need a copy of your DD 214. So you do have to be discharged in good standing and your certificate of eligibility, which you may or may not have that. The lender can help you get that. So now, like I say, in the first we talked part one. We talked about the getting connected with a good agent and having the agent refer you to a great lender. So now let's talk about the next step. Now that you've gotten connected to a lender, you're going to want to come up with a budget. They're going to tell you what you can afford. Now, right now, rates are super low, prices are high, so your payment, you're going to be locking in a lower payment now, but you don't want to be house poor, especially if this is your first home. Have a budget, stick to that budget. And I know that a lot of times that your first time buying, you're going to want to try and save every penny possible. So you may be thinking, oh, maybe we should look at foreclosures, which are bank-owned properties that someone didn't make the mortgage payment on and they lost the home and the bank took it over. Or a short sale, which a short sale is a homeowner that has gotten in trouble, unable to make payments to the bank, and they've agreed to sell the home for less than the mortgage amount. In a hot market, there aren't many of those. In a bad market, there'll be more. But here's what you need to know about each property type, especially as a first-time home buyer. Foreclosures and short sales are going to be sold as is, where is. No repairs will be made. So that means you're taking on all the responsibility. And also, in the case of a foreclosure or short sale, foreclosure for sure, there won't be a survey, which we'll talk about that later, so you'd have to buy it. Short sale may or may not have, but there may be issues such as wood rot, the roof needs to be repaired or replaced, air conditioner may be bad, hot water heater, maybe plumbing leaks. There may be issues that will keep the home from qualifying for a non-rehab mortgage. So I would suggest when you're looking at your first property to buy, that may not be what you want to do. If you're looking to invest, maybe, or if it's your second home, you've had some experience, you got some money put back, maybe a consideration. So now let's talk about the type of property that you should be considering. A lot of people will say, hey Darryl, should I buy a single family home, a townhome, a condo, or a duplex? Let's talk about each of those. So if you're buying a duplex, you're probably going to buy half a duplex or one side of it. And just know there's going to be privacy issues there because you're sharing a wall with the neighbor. Now, there's dead air space in between, so there should be minimal noise, if any, that transfers from wall to wall. But you can almost literally reach and touch your neighbor because you're sharing a wall, possibly a fence that's separated by a driveway. And the other issue is, say, when a roof has to be replaced, then you're going to be negotiating with them. Foundation work has to be done in the future. You're going to be negotiating with them. Fence may or may not be shared, probably won't be shared, but when it comes time to painting, another negotiating time. So that's something to keep in mind if you're looking at buying just a half duplex and not the whole thing. The next is a condo. A condo is one of the more difficult property types to get financed because there's different types of financing available and different types of condos, something called warrantable or non-warrantable condos, and that has to do with whether or not that home will be able to get a conventional loan or FHA loan. So they're more difficult to finance, which means they may wind up being only available for conventional financing, which could mean, in many cases with a condo, 20% down. Not all conventional loans require that, but a lot of condos, you may run into that. And the non-warrantable has to do with the number of renters versus owners that are in the complex. Lender can talk with you about it, and I'm a condo expert, so that's one of the reasons I bring it up. The other thing is you have HOA dues. HOA dues are not a bad thing. However, in a condo, one thing for certain, there's only one direction they go, and that's typically up. And from time to time, as I've learned from owning a condo in the past, you'll have what's called a special assessment. Say a storm comes through, wipes out everybody's roof, then they have to go rebuild the capital reserves because they're going to have to replace everybody's roof. Or say it's a gated community, the gate breaks, or there's a pool, the pool pump breaks. Or there's a big asphalt parking lot, there's potholes, they have to fix that. Or say there's a termite invasion in the building, they have to go take care of that, and you may pay an extra $50, $100, $200, $300 a month for 6 months to 9 months. It's one of those things that you just have to know that's going to occur with the condo. The other thing is, if something goes wrong with the foundation, you have to deal with the HOA to get that addressed. Not saying a condo's bad, but you just need to know that going in. The next property type is a townhome. There you're going to have a shared wall. You're going to have an HOA. Now, the positive thing with a townhome is just like buying a single-family home. It qualifies for basically all types of financing, unless there's a property issue, but that's the case for any. You'll have HOA dues, typically monthly. There's some townhomes without them, but just expect there's going to be one. And a lot of times, like a condo, the HOA dues sometimes covered what's called blanket insurance, which covers the exterior, like your roof, windows, and doors. Not always, but that's best case. And so when you have that type of policy, it allows you to get what's called a studs-in or condo policy, which is a little less expensive. And sometimes those HOA dues will cover exterior maintenance like painting. Townhomes, typically not. Condo, you're probably not going to have much painting in condos. Most of those are concrete except for older ones where you'll have wood and some other things that have to be maintained. But sometimes also with the townhomes, it'll cover some water. Same thing with the condo. So some things are more expensive, some things less. But now let's talk about the ideal property. Ideally, you should be looking at a single family home, at least a 3-bedroom